Ew, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? Guys, Rick and Morty has just gotten a lot of things off their chest this week, I feel like. Like, there's some episodes where they're just doing new stuff to be doing new stuff, but this week it actually felt like they finally could do things that the audience were kind of expecting. Because for example, like the vat of acid and just probably two other episodes within this season were completely just mind boggling, right? Like, I didn't know what was coming, what could happen. The one with the face huggers, where all the face huggers took over Rick and Morty and they didn't even know what happened, right? Um, Things like that are the real reason why I probably fell in love with this show, compared to just all of the stuff that winds up, having some type of long lasting effect. For instance, like Beth and the clone and Phoenix person. I'm using Nemesis right now because, you know, Phoenix person is pretty much the nemesis of this government. So that is why it felt like everything they did this week, they were just throwing away old plot points and getting past them. Everything was very quick and in your face, like Tammy showing up as quickly as she did, having the clone Beth be pretty much the whole episode practically, right? Just giving us those two things alone, they're like, okay, there we go. Let's get these two. Like, you never have to bring Tammy back by the way they did her. They never have to bring this Beth back if they really don't want to, right? Sure, now there's always going to be questions usually when the episode ends. I bet people are going to question what happens to the garbage truck, right? Like, that's how dedicated some of these fans are to just certain things that pop off in the show, which I can't say I didn't feel that way at one point, but I know for a fact I don't now, because as of how I can see it and how I can understand it through the author's point, and maybe they don't feel this way, but from just the way they kind of been saying things through the characters, it seems like you can take it whatever way you want, but it really, I feel like, slows them down when they have to focus and remember older plot points that they might not have thought were really that important. I mean, sure, they set it up that way, but they also like a whole bunch of different movies and TV shows and stuff that's been referenced throughout this whole entire series of Rick and Morty. But for them to do something that they think is funny on the spot, and then it winds up being this huge thing that needs to be solved. For instance, all people were crying about was evil Morty and why we didn't see him in the second season at all, right? So why have your audience doing that yet again when you know what's going to happen? So that's just, we didn't even get a whole entire season of the Beth clone thing, right? That happened at the end of the last season, and they brought it full circle at the end of next season. So they're really doing well on that. I'm pretty sure by other people asking for Squanchy, we might have to see. We saw a female we saw a female Squanchy with super dope Beth, but those are the types of things that kind of give you more hope that there's a whole bunch of crap that could happen with her. Like, they could easily show us what she's been up to or what she goes out and does. They can bump into her out there, but since it's such a big, wide galaxy, none of that even needs to happen for this show to still be amazing, right? Like, that's just something they can go back to, which the whole clone and how it was figured out at the end was pretty hilarious, in the case of there really wasn't a clone and they both kind of were clones. Right? Like they were both pretty much clones in his eyes, because he said explosives almost, yeah, he said explosives in both of them. So I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're both clone level to your father. So that was interesting. But seeing the organization that got absolutely destroyed in the beginning of last season come back and be used in this way with Tammy, and supposedly she lived but all the old ones died, which was another thing people were questioning. They're like, oh well, the Galactic Federation, they got destroyed and Tammy's one of them, so Tammy's gone. It's like, well, here she is, and she has to explain herself of why she's still alive, or not even why she's alive, but what happened after the whole entire reboot of the Federation, right? Oh, all the old ones died, and now the young ones don't even really know of you, Rick. like the most random dialogue ever, but it works to fill in the gaps as of why certain things are the way they were, with Beth being the most wanted because she was actually fighting them, going out of her way to stop them at every turn, compared to Rick, who wants to be in a he wants to be in a position where they don't see him as a threat, or not a threat, but more or less he doesn't get involved, right? And when you're not involved, you're not a threat. But he doesn't take that well, and he shows us just how ridiculously intelligent and broken he could be if he actually put 100% into everything, which now begs the question if they're ever going to show 30-year-old Rick in his hero days, in the case of just how ridiculously like good was he at his techniques then compared to now. Like, that's one thing I wouldn't mind seeing. But at the same time, if they don't have that in mind, or they don't care to do it, then alright, whatever. Like, I'm still gonna watch the show regardless. I'm not gonna go and make a full Reddit forum just to make that point. I think Rick needs to have a backstory, right? And when he's in his 30s, we could see if he was cooler than Beth. End quote. Overall, though, this is the season finale. That's what hurts the most, man. That hurts, knowing it's over, knowing that it's kaput for a while after this. That sucks, man. But at the same time, we did wait for 5 episodes, or we got 5 episodes, and we've been sitting on our thumbs waiting for the rest to drop, which this season was only 10 episodes, which anyway. The things that I really enjoyed this week were Jerry getting beat up, but not really hard, right? Every time Beth got hit, he said hey, and he gets just barely hurt. They barely touch the guy because they know that's enough. Like, oh, we're doing maybe too much energy on this guy. Like, it's a waste of energy. We gotta reserve ourselves for the real fight. Just punch him in the shoulder. Tammy's little weak punches on Jerry killed me for some reason. Rick, if he ever goes into therapy, has like probably 500 ways to destroy or just like get out of the situation in the office alone. Not only that, probably has more rigs for the car ride, right? Like, he's so ahead of everything. But to think that at the end of the episode they put him in a position where they make him look like he isn't really anything, right? Like, his plan to have his daughter go out and do the thing he told her she could do didn't even really happen. We could tell from the clone pit that the real Beth the whole time was had her hand down lower, and if you look at the clone Beth, she was just chilling, like her hands were by her sides. So we still don't know. We still don't know, right? Like that's the best part of this. Clone or real Beth could still be either or, right? So that's what's really cool about this. Regardless of what's going on, she's not gonna stay around the house. Supposedly, she has Federation to still beat up, so there's no way she just stays. And she said we have kids to raise. Like she still believes in actually coming here and raising Summer and Morty. So there's a lot of things that you could digest in this video, or in this episode. But the last thing I really want to talk about is Bird Person versus Rick, the hypest and best fight in the entirety of Rick and Morty. This was fun. This was really fun, and I really do hope they continue Rick and Morty in their fun ways and just doing what they want, because at this point it honestly feels like the fans definitely have more say uh, on some of the writing when they have to go back to these plot points that they got. Like, for instance, evil Morty almost got retconned through the train, if people want to believe that, right? Like, they can let people run with as wild as they want with that train story. We said that this guy was taking all of our continuity, but we then find out that Rick is not even the real Rick and Morty. They're toy Rick and Morty inside the train, right? So the real Rick and Morty are outside of it. That continuity thing never happened. It's almost like they gave us a sneak peek at what those Rick and Morty would deal with. But will it actually happen to ours? The world may never know. So I don't know. I'm really, really happy with how they are handling everything. It feels like they're almost done with all the little details that the fans from season 1 up till now have expectations for. It feels like all that stuff is pretty much washed away, and they could just be free and start doing crazier and crazier things over and over, because that's the true reason why I watch Rick and Morty, is because they can just do whatever the heck they want, make fun of whoever. They made a Pokemon reference. They literally threw a Pokeball and like a great ball out. Rick had a Pokeball and Beth had a great ball. You know, it's like the small little details that really, really help me just enjoy and laugh at this show, and laugh at the expense of all these unfortunate people that have to go against Rick and Morty. But like I was saying, the fight with Bird Person, or Phoenix Person, excuse me, not BP but PP, was definitely my favorite fight, simply because of how detailed it got and how much Rick had to learn on the fly. Like, he had no idea Phoenix Person was even a thing by his reaction, and then all the way to the point till he is losing and he's about to lose his life. Because I mean, that's what I was saying about Rick and him fighting at like the portal. He had to know precisely where all these miniature portals needed to be, and he put them perfectly in the headshot position of all these aliens. And you're telling me he couldn't figure out a way to beat Phoenix Person and kill him? Or did he have to then hold back again because he thinks he's a great friend and saves him at the end of the episode and doesn't kill him, right? So I mean, did he really even defeat him? Beth walked up and turned off the on switch, and I think Rick is even more of a monster, if you ask me, because he then disassembled him somehow and got him off that ship that wind up, you know, what, didn't it explode? So there's so many questions I have to ask on how he did that, but you know, the show doesn't need to explain. My imagination is strong enough to help me put in my own plot points there. So I hope you guys are having an amazing day, night, evening. This should be coming out on Tuesday, because Monday I've already dropped 2 things, and today I need something to be dropped. Black Clover's not here, or I would just drop this on Monday, or whenever Rick and Morty comes out, like on Sunday. But needing something for daily uploads is annoying, and I have to be up mad early, and this works. So my anime people, thank you for the support. Thank you for everything, watching, whatever the case is. I hope to talk to you in the next one, and take care and peace.